Welcome to EduRev. Let's jump right in. It's November 27th, 2025, and we've got a packed rundown of the current affairs that you absolutely need for your UPSC prep. We're talking everything from the Supreme Court digging into Delhi's pollution crisis to a brand new plan to reverse brain drain.
Let's break it down. But here's the real question, right? How do these headlines actually help you score marks on your mains paper? That's what we're all about today.
We're not just scratching the surface. We're connecting every single story directly to your syllabus, so you walk away with the key points for some seriously powerful answers. Alright, let's get into it. First up, our science and environment update. You know, this stuff is absolutely essential for your GS paper 3. So, first on the docket is a familiar problem, but with a critical new twist, Delhi's air pollution. The Supreme Court is now taking a hard look at the very tools we use to track it. Those 40 continuous ambient air quality monitoring stations. The CAAQMS. You can think of them as our first line of defense. But the big question is, are they even working? And this is where you can see the heart of the problem. On one hand, you have what they're supposed to be, these super sophisticated labs tracking 8 major pollutants from PM 2.5 all the way to ozone. But then you look at the reality and it's a system just full of flaws. We're talking calibration failures, weather knocking them out, power cuts. All of this just adds up to huge data gaps and honestly information you just can't rely on. So why does this matter for your exam? What's the real takeaway here? Look, this isn't just another news story. It's a perfect case study for GS Paper 3. It shows the limits of technology, it highlights major challenges in governance, and it really exposes that massive gap between making a policy and actually getting it to work on the ground. You can use this to add some serious depth to any answer you write on environmental degradation. Okay, let's shift gears now from environmental resources to human resources. There's another huge challenge on the government's radar, and that's reversing India's long-standing brain drain. There's a new policy in the works, and the goal is to attract top-tier Indian researchers back home. So how are they going to do it? The strategy is really built on 3 key pillars. First, they're going to actively recruit star faculty, the best of the best with Indian origins. Second, they're offering significant funding to help them set up their labs and their teams. And third, and this one is absolutely crucial, is creating an environment of genuine academic and intellectual freedom. But it's never that simple, is it? The path is just littered with obstacles. I mean, we're talking massive salary gaps when you compare with places like the US and China. Then there's the infamous bureaucratic red tape that has stalled efforts like this before. And on top of all that, there's just fierce global competition for these brilliant minds. Now for your UPSC prep, this is a core science and tech topic. It's about so much more than just bringing people back home. It's about building a real R&D ecosystem. It's about strategic human resource management. And it's about understanding the real world hurdles of policy execution. This is a prime example you can use for any question about turning India into a knowledge economy. Alright, let's move on to our second major section for today, polity and governance reforms. This is coming straight from the GS paper 2 syllabus, so you'll want to pay close attention to these next few updates. Okay, first up is a really big one, a potential landmark reform, the Higher Education Commission of India Bill, or the HECI Bill. The main goal here to replace this tangled web of overlapping bodies with one single powerful regulator. It's broken down into 4 verticals. You've got the NHRC for regulation, the NAAC for accreditation, to the GEC setting academic standards, and the HEGC to handle all the funding. It's a really bold move to try and untangle our higher education system. Now, here's the thing. Whenever you talk about creating a powerful central regulator like the HECI, it automatically brings up a core constitutional principle, federalism. It's all about that delicate balance of power between the center and the states. And you know what? That very balance is being put to the test in our next story. This quote just hits the nail on the head. Governors' unchecked powers to withhold assent to bills can distort democratic processes and create a crisis in governance. The Supreme Court is really putting the governor's role under a microscope, especially their power to just sit on bills indefinitely that have been passed by state legislatures. And this raises a huge question. Does this give an unelected official a veto over the will of the people? And does it weaken our entire federal structure? So, for your mains, the connection here is just crystal clear. This story is not just news. It's like a direct portal to the very heart of the polity syllabus. And You've got federalism, you've got the separation of powers, the governor's role under Article 200, and that classic center-state relations debate all rolled into one. Now, we need to turn to a deeply, deeply disturbing issue that the Supreme Court is also bringing to light: custodial violence. This isn't just a governance problem, folks, and it is one of the most critical human rights challenges that India is facing today. Just look at this number for a second: 2,346. According to the National Human Rights Commission, that is how many people died in judicial custody in a single year from 2023 to 2024. This is not just a statistic, it's a devastatingly stark reminder of the scale of this crisis. And you have to understand, this is a problem with deep historical roots. It's not new. It stretches all the way from harsh punishments in ancient texts through the Mughal era, and then it was really systemized by the repressive Colonial Police Act of 1861. That colonial mindset, using force for control instead of for justice, it has cast a very, very long shadow that unfortunately persists even today. And here's the irony: our laws are actually designed to prevent this. The Constitution itself, in Articles 21 and 20, guarantees the right to life and protects against self-incrimination. Even the brand new criminal codes, the BNS, the BNSS, and the BSA, they all include provisions against forced confessions. So the legal framework is there. So why does this problem continue? Well, the reasons are systemic. The fact is, our legal framework still doesn't have a clear black and white definition of torture. Accountability is incredibly weak, which makes it really difficult to prosecute officials who cross the line. And at its very core, there's a policing culture that too often sees force not as the last resort, but as the first tool to pull out of the box. Okay, let's wrap things up with two quick but important updates on economy and security. Both of these are crucial for your GS paper 3. Alright, here's a number you'll want to remember: 7,280 crore rupees. Get this, that's the investment the cabinet has just approved for a scheme to build the domestic manufacturing ecosystem for rare earth permanent magnets. This is a massive strategic move to cut down our import dependency for critical parts in EVs, wind turbines, and a whole lot more. And on the security front, the 19th Surya Kiran joint military exercise between India and Nepal is officially underway. The training covers the whole shebang: jungle warfare, mountain counter-terrorism, and even disaster relief. It's all about strengthening that crucial strategic partnership. Okay, that was a lot of ground we just covered. So let's bring it all together and consolidate it with your UPSC action points. These are the key takeaways you need for your revision. So let's lock this in. Did you notice the pattern today? Every single story we talked about connects to a huge system level challenge. The air quality crisis is not just about pollution, it's about governance failure, straight out of GS3. The brain drain policy, that's a classic S&T governance puzzle. The HSCI bill and the governor's role, that puts the entire federal structure from GS2 right under the microscope. Custodial violence points to deep-rooted systemic issues in our justice system. And finally, the rare earth scheme and Surya Kiran are all about strategic autonomy in both economy and security. You need to see these connections and you need to use them in your answers. All of these insights into your preparation with more daily current affairs, prelims, mock tests, and of course, mains answer writing practice. Go ahead and download the EduRev app. It's available on both the Play Store and the iOS App Store. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you tomorrow.